when he was in Minnesota. And there's another big factor I believe in about Jennings. I think he never really had a good relationship with Rodgers. I think he says he did, but I don't. I think he's jealous he never had that.
Yeah, I think he was a Favre guy. That's who he played his first
Oh
2 years with. I think when you hear him initially, even before this Bleacher Report came out, when you heard him getting his roles on Fox Sports 1 and coming on the Collar Coward show to talk
every
about
time.
Aaron, he was always mentioning that the leadership and certain personality types that clearly were the difference between the personalities in Favre and Rodgers because they're not the same guy.
Oh, of course. Actually, they're completely opposite in quarterback play and personalities.
Well, one is a Southern farm boy, and the other one is, no offense, I'm not saying it to be mean, but a California,
he's an old Cali guy like Clay is.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that to be condescending in any way at all. It's just they're totally different worlds, different regions, and obviously going to have different mentalities. And you have to understand, Rodgers, there's a lot of things that are similar about Rodgers. His footwork, the fact that he's got a cannon arm, the way he moves and throws the ball are a lot of the positive things he picked up from Favre. But the way he plays so conservatively sometimes is almost a direct result of being around Favre and who is a mistake maker.
Watching the turnovers year after year.
Right. There's more to this Jennings here now, so here we go.
I thought when I went to Green Bay and called the game and spoke to Mike McCarthy and shared it with him, told him I would like to talk to Aaron Rodgers, talk to training staff there, talk to players there, and said, let me talk to Aaron. Aaron saw me and completely avoided me. Before I ever told that story, this was my stance. I wanted to talk to him behind closed doors and just air it out. But that never happened. I never was given that opportunity. And if he's listening now, he knows I follow him on all his platforms. My number has not changed. I looked through my text messages and made sure, let me see if he has my information. He has my information. He knows how to get into contact with me. I'm not trying to shoot bullets at Aaron Rodgers. I'm simply stating my fact to what I know is true and my own opinion of my time and my experience and what I thought. Now, to his response on, a conversation being made light of and it was a joke, well, obviously that needed to be cleared up with me because I didn't know it was a joke. I didn't take it as a joke. It could have been cleared up before I ever even shared the story 4 or 5 years, 6 years after the fact. Before I ever even talked about it publicly. He had that much time. So for me, that's the part that bothers me a little bit because I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't have or did not have a really good relationship with Aaron Rodgers because I did. Did I like everything that he did? Did I agree with everything that he did? Absolutely not. Did we thrive on the football field? Yes. Did we have a relationship off the football field? Yes. One that I felt like would continue to grow and that I felt even on my exit, there would have been even more conversation between he and I. Now, regardless of that happening or not, it's needless to say what he's shooting back at yesterday. It is what it is. I expect it. He's going to win when it comes to public opinion and who's going to side with who. Yes, he's playing. He's Aaron Rodgers. He's the quarterback. Quarterbacks tend to be looked at as the ones
like we were just talking about. He doesn't have a clear, there's no argument. That's the thing. He's been clearly called out, and the only one who's being stubborn is Jennings.
Yep, and that's right. That's what he was just talking about. We're back here now, and Dave was just talking about. He's talking about the tweet of Jermichael Finley today, and how that's a sarcastic remark because he has nothing. I mean, anything he says at this point now is like really. It's I couldn't play football anymore, and so I'm taking my ball and going home, and nobody would listen to me about anything else, and I tried and I tried and tried, And I saw Greg Jennings, and I hate to say it, Jeff Saturday get a job too. And as far as I'm concerned, Jeff Saturday should never talk about being Aaron Rodgers' teammate because he flat out quit on the Green Bay Packers in the middle of a season when they were really needing him, and wants to talk about he knows so much about Aaron. The dude was there for less than 6 months, honestly, and he didn't stick around after he retired.
Yeah, he was there less than 5 months.
Yeah, and it's like, so don't give me anything like about his mannerisms or if he was being sarcastic in the damn huddle. You didn't know him well enough,
Yeah, and that's the thing. When Jennings came out was salty about that Carlos Rodgers joke about joining the 49ers, I'm sorry. If Jennings had played that long with Rodgers and you don't know his comedic side yet, then you don't have a relationship with him.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Excellent point. And I think at that point too, if that's what you're holding on to, like Rodgers said, who's the petty one? I mean, this is a guy that's called him petty, selfish, thin-skinned, and then that's the story that you want to stand on? I mean, if you want to scream hypocrite, that's what you're doing.
Well, if you want to go stand and look at the culprit of all this, you go look at Tyler Dunn. Tyler Dunn has not said a peep since this article came out.
I did see something I thought was on Twitter about him now who knows, but here's the problem is
he's a lot more active than before he put out that article. Jay, I'm telling you, go look at how active he was before, and he's been on the down low now because of the fact that Rodgers is fired back.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Rodgers fired back and he's done it so strongly, because I don't know if you can hear in that last clip where we did the Rodgers one, but if you listen to it from ESPN 540 where the sound quality is probably a lot better, you can hear just the anger and vitriol in his voice. Like, he is highly agitated about this subject. He's had enough, and I think...
Yeah, because it's been years and years and years of hearing this stuff. And
right.
The fact that, his family's been brought up, the past couple of years, I think has kind of been the tipping point. And now this article just completely lit the match and threw it in the whole bonfire and just exploded.
I think, and it's what I was hoping for, and maybe we'll get more because there's more coming tomorrow. So if you get a chance, it's 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central, ESPN 540 Milwaukee, or 105, 100.5 ESPN Madison. The Wilde and Tell Show. You got to listen to it. There's more tomorrow. And what I'm hoping for is he calls out the guys like Colin Cowherd, because this is what we really got to get into, Dave. And I know this is going to set you off as much as it did me. If you haven't got a chance to look at it, you need to try to get on your phone and look at it. I couldn't even listen to the whole thing. Now, Colin Cowherd, you would have thought, as Packer fans, right, Dave, that these national shows would have been like, oh, okay, he's finally talking, we're getting it. Oh, I can't believe Jermichael Finley, but not Colin Cowherd, Dave. Not Colin Cowherd, Dave. And
never. He's always been on Rodgers.
What did he do? He compared that man to Trump.
Aaron Rodgers to Trump.
Trump. Like, Aaron's calling fake news.
Negative spotlight.
Yeah. He's basically trying to say Aaron is saying fake news that he's not a bad teammate. Now, here's the problem with the issue I'm having with Colin Cowherd anymore, Dave. And you can jump in here and cut me off at any time with your 2 cents. Colin Cowherd says a lot of stuff. And I wrote it down because as a guy that wants to get into this and loves this, you have to learn from those that are smarter than you. I like guys. I was awfully inspired by the late, great Stuart Scott, right? That's the guy that got me into sports broadcasting and watching it in the first place. And then Stephen A. Smith and Jason Wilde and Alex Patakis and all these guys that work at ESPN 540. And so you write down and you learn. And so Colin Cowherd, when I started listening to him on his new show, he said things like, people say a lot of things. Hold them to it. And then he contradicts himself.
Oh, all the time. Every other year, he would praise him and get on him, praise him and get on him.
And so then he gets on there and he's talking about he's like Trump and that well, there's this person and this person, so if there's smoke, there's fire. He's on that. A lot of these guys are still saying that. You know, they're out there, the Will Canes of the world, the Skip Baylesses, the Colin Cowards, the guys that honestly, in my opinion, they're hanging off Tom Brady's nuts. Excuse me.
Oh, they are. I mean, that's why Skip can never talk football without talking the Cowboys, and then he'll randomly insert Tom Brady in there every single time.
Swanging off his nuts. Simple as that. Because it's just ridiculous. Because when we're going to sit here and criticize this, Charles Johnson was on the Wilde and Tell show a month or two ago, and he came out and straight up said when he was covering the Saints that I believe it's Garrett Gilbert. Was a second-round pick of the Saints. Yeah, quarterback out of Texas. Yep. Was a second-round pick of the Saints.
He just was in the AAF, I believe.
Right, and he just got signed again. But why wasn't he still with the Saints? Well, Charles Johnson said that Drew Brees was such a condescending, arrogant jerk to the dude and went out of his way, not only in the quarterback room, but during practice, during individual skills drills, to just rag this guy and break him down so that he was absolutely, there's no chance that Garrett Gilbert was going to take his spot or, you know, be in any threat to Drew Brees. He wouldn't help the guy. Then you had guys like Dan Orlovsky who came on, who played with Peyton Manning and said, you know, off the field, outside of football, Peyton is exactly what he sells himself. Funniest guy, you love to be around him. But when it came to in that football building and in the facility, there wasn't one person that could talk to him about football that he'd listen to. You couldn't tell him anything about the offense. He knew it all, and he made sure that he talked down to coaches, staff members, other
he had
players.
To be the alpha male, and no one could say anything to him.
Tom Brady.
He literally was. He basically thought he was the smartest man in the whole building.
Right.
And that, to me, ruined so much relationships. I've read articles that Marvin Harrison and Peyton never really had an off-field relationship off the field.
Right. Tom Brady. What happened 2 years ago? Now, I don't know if I'm just crazy, but if I'm a GM and I draft a quarterback in the second round, right? And then I spend 4 years developing the guy, get him on the field to the point where going into his free agent year, he's going to be a highly paid and sought after, you know, commodity. And he is my favorite. The coach who doesn't have a personal relationship with the multiple Super Bowl winning, multiple MVP quarterback doesn't have a personal relationship, has a personal relationship with this second round pick. And then that quarterback that's aging figures out that the coach is trying to get him out, goes above his head and gets that quarterback traded. And the franchise that got him for a second round pick, developed him for 4 years and was going to have to pay him a lot of money to keep him, gets what out of it? What would you think they get out of it, Dave? In a world in knowing all you know about football, what is that player worth?
They'd be getting a first round pick out of it, honestly, for developing that long, or at least a high second. At least what you got out of him.
And what did they get?
They got
a second. No, they got a second round pick. Now it was a high second round pick, but my point is you can't accept a second round pick. You put 4 years into developing a guy that wasn't good enough to go in the top 35, right? And you turned him into what did he get? He was like the highest paid quarterback in that following offseason.
San Francisco paid him a ton.
Right. And you get a second round pick for him. Why did that happen? Because you were forced to trade him. You couldn't shop him because the timing was done so perfectly that there wasn't any time to talk it out because it was done, a week and a half before the trade deadline? All of a sudden, crap hit the fan in Foxborough? But Tom Brady's the greatest leader ever.
No, that's the thing is, I'm sorry.
There's a common thread here, Dave. All these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, who I love to death, to be an alpha male, to be a competitor at that such a high level, there's a lot of a-hole in you. There just is.
I mean, that's the thing that there has to be. I mean, you have to have that cockiness and the ego to be able to lead. I mean, there's a reason you have to have that, but you also have to have the team around you to respect you and give the same respect back. And the perfect example, we don't even need to hear audio clips on how Rodgers is a good against a good teammate. What I think is show the video clips of the Titans game, the Falcons game, of him getting hit late, and the next thing you know,